Welcome to Women in WP, a bi-monthly podcast about women who blog, design, develop, and more in the WordPress community. Hi, welcome to Women in WP. I'm Amy Masson.
I'm Tracy Epps.
And I'm Allie Nimmons.
And our guest today is Maja Loncar. Maja is a field manager for GoDaddy Pro covering Europe, Middle East, and Africa, promoting WordPress-related technologies and tools and meeting wonderful people all over the world. Welcome, Maja.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having me.
So we like to start off each episode by asking our guests what their journey to WordPress was. So tell us how you got started.
Well, I think that WordPress and I actually intercepted several times in my career. I mean, being a marketing manager since 2004 and being either a client or on the agency side, because I did both, somehow, you know, when you talk about marketing and business development and in general promotion of brands, you've got to be involved in some type of online communication. So surely I was either giving instructions what I would like to the agencies and how do I see the brand promise and the complete corporate look. But then again, I was also receiving different inputs from the clients who wish to represent themselves online. So actually, I started my first journey in general with websites was in 1998 when there was just an HTML file that I had to just fill out and send it to people, you know, or put a photo, you know, and just try to save it and then use cute FTP to send it somewhere, you know, and it goes and it shows. And I still didn't know how that happens. And then in 2000 and something, I was like asked to do something in Joomla, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this now? How do I do this? And then in 2000, actually, I think it was 2011 when I was working in automotive business at the time. The group IT manager came with, he collected all of us marketing managers and said, okay, from tomorrow we start with WordPress. And we're like, okay, what are we supposed to do? And he said, you just need to give us the content and write regularly the blogs and update them, and the rest we will do. And we all managers were like, wait, we need to understand what WordPress is. So I started getting lessons in WordPress in 2011, but I didn't stay long in this company. So I went away and I did something else. And then in 2015, since my side hustle is actually promotion of a certain bioresonant branded software, something that people use in quantum medical science. And since I was developing the business concept of the companies as well, and it was a startup, right? So you don't have enough money to pay the designers, and especially because we paid one already to give us a website, but then we understood that we missed the point. So we had to change it and we didn't have the money. So we said, okay, so I think the WordPress is the right solution for us. So we started, you know, making and building the first version of a website, which was total, like, we couldn't even publish it. Then we came up with the second one and said, oh, okay, this looks better. So maybe we can offer it to the wide public and stuff. And then said, no, we need the third one. So somehow I started actually again to be involved in WordPress. And then, but I mean, since I wasn't the technical person, so I was just there, you know, sometimes to help out, to check the design and see how things are moving. But then in 2018, my brother just came up one day with an idea that he wants to have a WooCommerce shop. And I was like, okay, so what do we need to do? He said, we need to make a WordPress website. And I'm like, okay, so it's back again in my life. And there's something new that I can learn. And then, so he built, now he's actually a WordPress expert, to be honest with you. He manages his own website after 2 years already. But then again, in 2019, I was approached by GoDaddy, for which I was very aware of since 1996 or 1997, when I was working in UN and we were buying the first domains, and it was like, wow, we need to do stuff. So I then got approached by them and they said, yeah, WordPress. And I'm like, man, it's back again. So this is probably the thing that I need to do in my life.
So I feel like WordPress is stalking you.
Well,
yeah.
Somehow, yes, but in a nice way. And I'm not opposing it at all. So basically that's my journey when it comes to on and off WordPress, but now it's on and I'm very happy about it.
So what are you doing with WordPress in relation to what you do with GoDaddy?
So I'm as being a field marketing manager for 3 different continents. I'm mostly involved in community and field marketing projects related to GoDaddy Pro brand in EMEA. So I actually get the best part of the WordPress. I meet awesome people and I learn many new interesting things. So I'm so happy, what I'm supposed to do. So I'm even encouraging people to contribute. By the way, my attending WordCamps and different WordPress events, my favorite day during each WordCamp is the contribution day. And I'm always present there because you learn new stuff, new techniques. For instance, just last year, actually, I did the first editing of a video and that was like, wow, now I can do that as well. So I find it as a tool of great learning and meeting great people who can actually teach you some great stuff that you can learn, like that you can actually promote and use it for your own personal life. So from this point of view, I think I'm blessed to be able to meet awesome people and then just learn stuff. So basically this is what I do. Don't I have a great job?
That sounds wonderful. Especially within the WordPress community. I feel like I've been a part of the WordPress community for many years as well. So it's really, really kind of great how WordPress did stalk you, but that it ended up well in the end. That was really great. Sorry.
Correct.
So you were doing a WooCommerce site. So what was your role in that project?
Well, since my brother, he is like a business person, he understands finance and mathematics and the target audience and the technical aspect of each product that he's promoting in his shop. I was the one who was in charge of the visual design. How does that look? So poor guy, I mean, he really went through a nightmare with me because whatever he would make, I would say, oh no, it's not appealing. He said, man, I spent 7 days working on this. What do you think? It's not, no, we need to change the theme. No, not again. We cannot change the theme. I've just put everything. So I was there just, to approve his work and help him out if needed when it comes to certain problems that he would encounter. Then, because I know so many people, I would like, oh, okay, we need to call this and this person. So let's find out. And then we would visit so many. At that time, there were not many webinars, but there were so many YouTube tutorials. So we would be spending like hours and days, watching tutorials and trying to understand how to improve the traffic, and then Google Analytics, and then Facebook Pixel, and all of this. So it was always good. There are two people who understand and could consult on each other. So I was just consulting and probably, a controlling body at the same time.
That's very important.
Correct.
Right? You're right.
Correct.
So, we were talking a little bit about this, like where you're from. So you're in Croatia right now on the seaside. Is that what you said?
Correct. I'm blessed to have both documents of Croatia and Serbia. So in this time of COVID, I'm actually mobile. So wherever I go to, whichever border I arrive, I'm actually home. So they need to let me in. Otherwise, they cannot keep me out. So my parents, they live in Croatia, and since they're very old, and the time is rough, right? So I didn't want it to missed the opportunity to be able to help them out. So I just came to be with them. And then all of a sudden I just came up with the idea, why don't we all go to the seaside? And they just packed in a day. So we just left. So the whole family is actually moved to the seaside now. And it's beautiful. I mean, if you haven't visited Croatia, you have a friend. So let me know when you would like to come and we can organize it.
That sounds great. Amy, do you want to we can get sponsors for that, right?
Tracy, we're not allowed to leave the country anymore.
Well, not right now, but when the US gets back off the naughty list, then we can get sponsors and go, right?
I can't imagine such a time. I can't see that far in the future. I'm sorry. I'm stuck in that I am, land bound to this country forever.
So maybe in a couple of years, but that sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
I totally want to go.
So friends at GoDaddy that want to send us to Croatia, to the seaside, to hang out with Maja, we're here.
I think it's a valid reason. I mean, if you put it across up to someone, I'm sure somebody will approve
it's
it.
Community building, and right?
Correct. It's humanity building, I would say, at the same time.
I know that you have started an initiative. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, I was so lucky to have a management and seniors above me who understood that human point is really important, and that encouraging of people to give back to WordPress is important. So my project that I wrote down was approved, and it's a project about empowering internal employees in EMEA with the aim to increase their personal and professional involvement in WordPress community. So the thing is that we have, and it's not that because it's a Belgrade office of GoDaddy or something like that, but we really seriously have talented people who have spent so many years in WordPress and understand the key points and issues and problems and could address them timely. So actually, I was just the motivator, so I just got the project approved. I approached each person in our office and I said, listen, I think there is a great opportunity for us to travel, to have fun, meet people, and contribute to WordPress. Are you in? And out of like 100 people or so that we have in an office, I think that from our office, 36 people joined instantly. And after a week of founding this initiative, we already have one full day of contributing, where we worked on the co-blogs and on WooCommerce polyglot section, actually translation and stuff. So, and then all of a sudden we saw opportunity of traveling and meeting other people at WordCamps. So we also pledged a small initiative within it and said, hey guys, we would like to travel and meet other people in WordPress. Would that be okay? And I don't know, I think I was blessed and everything was there. So the approval came instantly and said, yeah, hang out, do the stuff, meet new people and be happy, because when you're happy, I think you contribute more to both WordPress and the company. I mean, your own goals. So people would just join, so whenever there used to be physical WordCamps, I would receive like 20 applications who would like to go, and what is their plan, what they want to do there, and who they want to meet, and what type of projects they want to contribute, and they wanted to write the blogs and stuff, everything afterwards. And I'm like, man, I cannot take a bus with me. Okay, we have to just keep it to a normal level. And then we also had always voting, who actually is the most, who actually deserved among all of us, who contributed the most. So we would count the hours, see what people were doing, where they were doing. And then when we see how many hours you committed to contributing, then based on this, you will be eligible to go. So it was like a constant competition who's gonna go. So now with not physical WordCamps at all, I mean, people are sad. I mean, we still contribute. We still have hangouts and gathering where we decide what we want to do. If we want to write a blog, or we want to do some translation, or we want to work on some plugins as a different team or with developers. But it's kind of like this thrill of meeting physically people, and hanging out with them, going for parties and exchanging numbers and Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff. That's kind of gone. So the magic is a little bit gone, but we still believe that contribution is important.
And I think I agree. I think that, and a lot of people, well, they either don't feel like, oh, I either have something to offer, or, need to be invited, need to be asked, and need to, like, I think that's really like kind of a genius idea to kind of have that as a group, because that's that kind of like peer pressure on a good way, and like, oh yeah, like I can do that. I see this, I do this, because we need, as if we are open source and we're saying that this is made by the community and it's only made by a handful of people, that's inaccurate. So I think that's a really great initiative. What kind of are these usually like big or small projects that people like kind of pledge to, or their goals are to do when they contribute?
Well, it depends on perception, to be honest with you. We have managed to build 5 speakers, and
nice.
5 speakers out of these people who have already held different type of talks. And at the beginning, there was only one, or maybe I think it was only one speaker actually experienced one. The rest were first-time speakers. So these people had the knowledge and had the courage even to sign up for this initiative, but still we had to work on this approach on being like, how to say, on being genuine in what you do. Because if you want to be a public speaker and there is something that's bothering you personally, maybe technically, or perhaps you don't know how to deal with some questions that you don't know when they're going to arrive. So the thing is that you have to actually make these people feel welcome constantly and they don't have any burdens. So from my point of view, speaking in public, that shouldn't be an issue, you know. But some people who are not experienced, they found it like a big thing for them. So we also contribute in sense of translation. We also contribute in sense of being part of the different WordPress groups. Like we have people in core, we have people in plugins, we have people in marketing, and in many different things. So sometimes, you know, I don't even know that they're contributing. They just tell me, hey, listen, I was here doing that, so this is my 2.5 hours. Could you please put it on the billing sheet? Because I'm very interesting to be there when there is next traveling or something. So because I think I'm giving my best to meet other people. So as I said, it's kind of like very different perspective. Now we also have an initiative about writing blogs. So we want to empower their writing skills as well. So we as a group, whoever decides to write the blog, so I think that we're kind of like a squad, you know. So whoever says, yes, I'm going to write the blog, he's done. Before he writes it, everybody constantly calls this person, let me see the new draft, we need to change this, we need to add this. So it's kind of a teamwork, you know. So whatever we do has become a teamwork. We don't issue a blog without everyone seeing it, giving comments, putting whatever across. We don't contribute unless everyone's around, whoever can be, of course. We have this in consideration. And we don't travel or go to different WordPress events unless everyone's already notified about it and knows about it. So I think that this, let's say, perception of whether something's hard or not, the teamwork has actually took that, and this virtual, I don't know, spirit that goes is actually taking the burden so we don't feel it.
It's actually really good advice with speaking, because you're right, like that, getting away from yourself and, you know, focusing on what the talk is and the audience in front of you, as opposed to things like that's actually really good advice too for anyone that wants to start speaking. Have you spoken at a lot of WordCamps?
No, not yet. And I was because, you know, I'm very eloquent in sense of when I talk, but speaking to I'm not a developer or a designer, so speaking to technical people does get me a burden. So I do have to have the right topic, something. And just 2 days ago, so I've been thinking about my topic for more than 3 months now already. And just 2 days ago, when I was attending the WP Diversity Workshop, I got it. It inspired me what I really want to talk about. So I wrote already a pitch, and I'm preparing the presentation now. I'm actually gaining more knowledge and stuff. So I'm very happy. So this is again a sign that teamwork, like contribution to WordPress community and being part of the community actually helps you, because I wasn't aware what I want to write until somebody put me on the spot and say, like, what would you like to write about us? And I'm like, okay. And then the whole inspiration and emotion and knowledge and everything came back and I just wrote it in a second, something what took me 3 months. And I still don't know where it came from.
That is so powerful, because I was in that workshop with you and, you know, I was jotting down ideas too. And I was literally thinking to myself, I was like, I wonder, like, if this is helping anybody, because we all did it very quietly, personally. We didn't really share what we came up with. And I was really wondering, I was like, I wonder if anybody actually is coming up with any light bulb moments. So like, that is so gratifying to hear that you had that light bulb moment. And like, I hear people say that all the time of like, well, you know, I'm not a developer, I'm not a designer, so I don't know what I would talk about. And honestly, within the 19 minutes that we've been chatting, I could think of like 10 topics that I would want to hear from you about in terms of what it is you do for the wider WordPress community, because, you know, so little of WordPress is the development, right? Like it's about the community, it's about the processes, it's about how our companies and our businesses and our systems work to make the larger system work. So not a question, but I'm really, really happy that you landed on your talk. And like, I am so excited to whatever WordCamp it is that you get that talk for, I will be going, because I absolutely want to hear and be there for your first WordCamp talk. That's so exciting to me.
Oh, thank you very much. Listen, if somebody told me, look, I have plenty of time to think, right? And I'm in a very creative environment where you actually, the inspiration comes, for whatever you want. But somehow I had this, not a glitch, but I had this, a block, which I just couldn't solve. And then when you guys put me on the spot and gave me 5 minutes to think about it, I'm like, man, I cannot let down these people. So now I have to really go deep down in myself, check whatever it's wrong, remove all those blocks, and let's just see what's there. It just came. So my plan actually is now to attend each of these workshops that you have, because I need more of those.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who puts on the workshops?
Jill Binder with she does a WP diversity workshop on kind of dispelling all of the, what is it actually called? I'm totally blanking right now. I haven't had my coffee yet. Maya, can you help me out?
It's called WP Diversity Workshop.
I love it.
I want to find the exact, so anyone who's listening can also attend, because they are really, really helpful. WordPress Diverse Speaker Workshops. That's what you would want to Google, the WordPress Diverse Speaker Workshops. And it's, there's different formats, but the one we did this week was a 3-day workshop on kind of identifying like, well, why should I talk? Like, what do I have to say? And then the one Maya was talking about is we literally just sat and brainstormed talk ideas, and just like, write down any idea you have. Doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad, just write it down. And yeah, you end up finding some kind of little gems in the back of your head that you didn't know that you have.
That's awesome.
I don't know how that happened. It's still a mystery to me. And in order to resolve the mystery, I need to visit you guys more often, okay? So that's one of the reasons that I need to. No, seriously, and I even wrote on my Twitter, if you really don't, everybody's struggling with the time. I think that we work more now when we are remote and working online, than we actually worked before. Because before it was like, if I have an event like in Vienna, that means I'm in Vienna. I cannot be in San Francisco. I cannot be in Japan or India or whatever. But nowadays I have like 3 events a day. So it's like kind of really hectic, and things are moving. And I think things are moving in a very, very fast direction. But when you look at from this point of view, if we all struggle with the time, I understand that. But if you don't find the time for really something that it's coming to your path, like you guys came to me as well. So everything that comes on your path, I think you need to embrace. And when I saw this, I think it was Abha from London, from the marketing team. Actually, she told me, she said, you know what, I think, did you see that tweet? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. She said, I think you should go and attend. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking the same, but I just need to find the time. So I cleared my schedule, and I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes presentations I accept and I learn. Sometimes I don't find them that very interesting, but then I pick up something else. So I said, let me try. I have nothing to lose, right? So I came, like, I think it was 2 weeks for the first day, but then I couldn't do it second and third. And then it was this week I managed to attend the rest of the days. And you just made me like feel, I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of you. And I think, I resolved a big issue that I had. So I think I owe everyone, even you guys, I owe a cake. So next time we meet, cake is on me.
Oh, we need to write that down. Everyone,
yeah.
Right?
Cake by the seaside.
Yeah,
oh man,
that sounds perfect. Yeah, and that's I find the kind of similar thing. Anytime I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, should I sign up for this? Should I do this? And then I do it, and then I'm like, why did I hesitate? Like, I gained so much out of that. That's so wonderful to hear.
No, you guys are doing, even you guys, I think you're doing a great job. by even bringing us here to discuss certain topics. I just hope people will get inspired to find the time for themselves to think about what their life is going to be, to think about the problems or perhaps the not enough courage that they have or something like, I mean, everything is easy when you're with other people, when you're a part of the team, it's much easier. So I would really encourage everyone, just take any type of a workshop, and especially WP diversity, because first, the program is amazing, and second of all, it just ignites you, you know, it gives you energy of which you are not aware of. So
I think you
good
said a
job.
really important, like when you just says like working together, because I think for me, when I'm like, oh, I'm so busy, I do this, like, I'm thinking individually. And this is a community, you know, everything about the WordPress, like the software, it's made by a community, it's, you know, used, and there's the community surrounds it. So by thinking, oh, I need to contribute, thinking of that as individualistic, you know, but I like your initiative of saying like, well, let's get some people together. Let's do this as a group. Let's do this as a group project. And then we can share the burden. And that like lessens the kind of barrier that a lot of people have, like, oh, well, I only have like 3 minutes. Well, but if you and friends all get together and do 3 minutes, that's multiplied, you know? So I think that's really important to point out, that like, to that more places should kind of, you know, reach out and find a couple people. I wonder if we, you know, put out on Facebook or we're on Twitter and say, ask for on the WordPress community, anyone want to kind of join my little team or whatever, right? I think it's really important to look at it that way.
Agreed.
And I think there's this misconception about WordCamps that they're really only for people that are building WordPress websites. And that's just not the case. There's, you know, so much for everybody that I think that anybody could go to one and really pick up something.
I agree. I mean, I'm a great example of it, right? So, I mean, it's again perception. I mean, life is perception. The future is the perception. Everybody has its own way of thinking how the future is going to look like. But I think if you're open-hearted, like WordPress communities. I mean, I've been working all over the world, right? I've been in all continents, and I've been engaged with, I don't know how many hundreds of nations and corporations and small businesses and home-owned businesses and stuff. But I've never seen in my life, seriously, the type of community WordPress has. The ability to embrace, to include, to explain, to have time, to commit time to make life easier, better for someone else. There is so much humanity behind it that I'm not willing to go, you know? So even though I'm not a person who can talk technically or help someone by resolving a code issue or perhaps something else, but I know that I have some other values that could help other people. So if you look at it from this point of view, we just need to be open-hearted and say, look, I might not be tall enough, but I'm good enough to maybe give you an apple from the smaller tree. So I'm picking the apples from the smaller trees and giving it to the ones who are in need. So if we look at it, the life like this, and if the concept of WordPress community, I even wrote an article about it, how WordPress community can help humanity's sustainability, you know, human sustainability. I mean, if we all would actually apply this to the world concept, I don't think the world would have too many issues. Actually, those would be solved instantly, you know. So kudos to WordPress community, and I hope the energy, the vision behind could actually be just spread worldwide into many different industries.
And it's funny because this has been, I feel like it's been a theme in the past couple episodes that we've been recording, is that like the WordPress community is so large, it's so vast, it's so diverse. Hey, these problems that we're facing in the world today are pretty big and large and diverse and all around the world. And wait a minute, all the WordPress community is all around the world, and we, you know, so much is going digital, like all this stuff. I think that's like really important, and recognizing, like, to speak to the point where people say, oh, well, WordCamps, or, you know, I'm not part of the community because I don't do the development or design or whatever. But we think about, like, that's thinking about, like, that's, WordPress is not the destination. It's the tool to do the things in the world that need to happen. And so that's the bigger thing. That's the more, I feel is the more important thing. Yes, to have a tool that works in this, you know, that will allow people to do that and kind of, you know, help even the playing field in tech, which is a really big issue as well. So I think that is like, I think that's, you're right. You're spot on with that.
Maya, what's I love I love this conversation about, you know, if we just applied WordPress community ideas to everything else, we could heal the world. The world needs
There's
a
a
lot of
song that
healing
we
right
can
now.
play in the background right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'd like
I'm
to
curious.
teach the world.
What, given this huge challenge that we're experiencing globally right now, what do you feel like the WordPress community could do to step up and apply what we are about to this kind of global issue, if that makes sense? I mean, it's fantastic to be a part of this community on the best of days, and we're having very few of those days right now. So what do you think that we could be doing to step it up and apply that WordPress balm to what we're going through right now?
Well, what I've noticed, I think that the biggest quality of the WordPress community is the team ethics, right? So the ethics behind, plus the energy that we all have, like enthusiasts, is something that if we show as a role model and try to explain to other people and to other professionals and other industries, and I think we should first of all see what our values are and how these values affect us as a people, then come up with a nice presentation, go and knock perhaps on many doors and say, look, we might be wrong, but we do have a concept that brings out the best in our people, which means this is good for both humanity in the sense of how do we appreciate each other, but also it's good for business because we're not sitting and waiting for someone to give us, but we are actually working at the same time. So maybe some other guys, if we're addressing them, telling them maybe we could actually offer you a template or perhaps a showcase or study to see what type of healing this world needs. Because a lot of people are now in this being disadvantaged, like people in tourism industry. I mean, their world is crumbling apart. People in airline business, people in fashion business, and many different businesses are actually, how to say, they're losing their confidence, and their space is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And on the contrary, from our side, we're getting more and more businesses and stuff, and we're moving as an industry. And I'm very happy to be part of something that is successful. But being successful and alone doesn't really mean much. So if we would encourage these people, teach them something, because now it's the time of adapting. It's like a nature. If you adapt, you survive. If you don't adapt, I don't know what happens. There are so many different options and scenarios, right? And I don't want to mention them in that case. But it's time maybe that we show to other people and say, look, we know this. We might be able to help you. Maybe we can help with people who are willing to change their career path, right? And perhaps bring them into community that actually is open to helping and assisting and listening and giving advice and providing comfort and stuff like that. Or perhaps we might be the people who will just promote the human values and see where we can assist directly, either as a person or as a community itself. So, I mean, it's very hard to say. I didn't think about this. You just put me on a spot. So I'm trying to. So again, you're bringing my energy out. So I'm just coming up with what potential scenarios. But what this world needs is love. Because if I love you and I have respect for you and I really want you to succeed, then I'll do everything as I can to be part of your successfulness, right? So if each of us find one person who is in trouble and we want to help this person, we will save the world. So one person by one person, and then, pay it forward. So it's always the story of paying it forward, but first you need to understand what your values are. And surely what WordPress community is not missing is ethics, So this is like, if we start with this and then bring in a little bit of love and courage and emotions and knowledge, and I think in a couple of decades, maybe years, it could be solved.
That's amazing. I love that idea, the simple idea of paying it forward, right? Like helping somebody else, knowing that you will be helped. I think what comes with that as well, which I've found a lot in this community, is trust. Because with that concept, you have to be able to trust your fellow person that, what you're putting out. I think that's where it breaks down in a lot of places, is somebody is like, oh, well, if I pay it forward, how do I know I'm going to get it back? Like, what am I going to lose, if somebody else decides to be a jerk? And so they decide to just not do anything. But I think what we have that I've really experienced is just that trust in maybe even somebody that you've never met. Is that something that my WordPress experience has been very American and been very kind of localized to the WordCamps I've been able to travel to? Is that something that you feel like you've encountered throughout your global WordPress experience as well? Or do you feel like, I guess maybe the root of my question is, do you feel like there are cultural differences that you've experienced within the WordPress community, or do you feel like it's all kind of been the same?
I mean, again, when you look at the basic value of WordPress community, which is ethics, right? When you have ethics as a solid foundation, and when you have people who have open heart as well, you cannot make a mistake. And that means that, I mean, it's kind of, how to say, not algorithm. Yeah, it's algorithm actually. It's either yes or no. So if you have ethics, but you don't have heart or compassion for other people, it's visible. People will notice it. And you will not be able to make such an impression. But then, and to make such a change as well. But if you have all these human points developed inside of yourself, and if you just give it a little bit of more push, at least to find one person that you can help. I mean, what I've seen worldwide, I have never met a person in WordPress that has left a bad feeling with me or in my mouth or something like that, So I've been, although as I said, I'm not a technical person, but everybody finds time to explain or help me out or work with me, and I was never laughed at, for something that I said. So this, and in whichever conversations, like I'm hosting now GoDaddy Pro EMEA meetups, right? So for Africa, Middle East, and Europe, and many different people join these meetups. So it's kind of like, when you have people from different cultures, religious, and they have different views of life, business, whatever. But if they have, but all of them have in common ethics and openness. So I mean, I think that having these two human, how to say, characteristics is actually the key to solving any problem,
Who usually goes to, like, is it a lot of technical people, or like you said, that human aspect that go to these meetups that you just mentioned?
Very interesting question, to be honest with you. You know why? Because the topics vary. For instance, one of the topics that we had recently was how to become a freelancer. But in the next month, we're gonna be discussing React, and just last Monday we were discussing 5.5 features. And in these meetups, you have, first of all, people from all over the world. Second of all, some of them are changing careers. Some of them are already freelancers. Some of them are experienced developers, and some of them are designers, and some of them are just there to check out what's happening, whether they should consider IT industry. We even had, in the last meetup, we had a guy who's 16 because he's like a genius, and I met him like through a friend, and and he said, look, my son, he's a genius, right? He's already building websites, and the guy is a poor truck driver. He doesn't know what he's doing. He says, I'm not able to speak to him. Could you speak to him and tell him what he's supposed to do? Because I don't even understand what he does. He just spends time on computer and gets somehow paid from people. I don't know what he's kind of like worried about his future. So he said, can you please speak to him? And the guy, really, I sat with him, he's 16, but he feels like he's like 30 or something. He told me, are you a developer? I said, no. Oh, okay, so I will not talk technically to him. I'm like, okay. So, so he said, I'm choosing now between the different languages, what I'm supposed to like focus. Should I go in PHP or should I go in Java, or maybe I should go into React or something? Could you please explain to me? And I said, you know what? I think the best idea if you come to our meetups and then actually find it for yourself. So the guy came and he left the last, and he had the most questions among all people. So it's, you know, really strange what type of people come to our meetups. But one thing is for sure, we keep these meetups very friendly and keep it as a discussion, because the time of presentation online, it doesn't really work. And everybody has an opinion. I mean, we're having a consciousness. We already have an opinion, unlike animals or perhaps some other species. So sharing a voice is something that we promote as a part of our slogan, in sense of that you come share your voice. Maybe your voice will help someone to make a decision. Maybe you will change someone's life. And this is your purpose in our meetup. Come and change people's life into a better place. So this is what we try to do. You're more than welcome to join anytime.
I love it. I mean, and I agree. I think because I've had this discussion with multiple people where now there's WordCamps that are virtual, but like I don't feel like sitting in front of my computer and just watching a talk, but like having an online discussion, like that sounds like something I want to sign up for. Like that's, you know, talk about inspiring confidence and, you know, wanting to contribute and develop community. That's really great. How many people usually come, or, you know?
Depends, between 30, 40, because bigger groups are a problem, because then you have to wait for at least 5 people to say something, and maybe somebody already said, so people chat, they just put so many things in the chat, and in Zoom, you know, it's hard to move around the chat, so we're constantly like checking, okay, whose question, who has been answered, and raising hands. So at one point, and it's like, you have like 5 raising hands, and I'm like, man, wait, I know you all have opinions. Let's keep it to 1 minute, 1:30, and then I will cut you off, and then the second person goes. Because, you know, vibrant discussions, they are full of energy. And I mean, generally, EMEA, at least, community is very energetic. You have Spanish people, you have French, Germans, you have people from Lebanon, and people from Kenya, the people from India. So everybody has their own opinion, right? And they think all they're right, or they think that someone else is not right. So first we talk about what's right, and then we try to see what's not right, and then we even vote in the end. Okay, so especially this happened now when we had the talk about 5.5 features. My God, I couldn't finish the meeting. In the end, I said, listen, we were supposed to be here for 1 hour. It's already 1:30. I have other stuff to do. You have to leave. You know, it's finished. We finished 5.5. Maybe we talk about some other versions some other time. But this is it, closing the discussion. And I'm gonna get this hammer as well as a judge and just say finished. So we also have games, you know, because it's very important to involve people in as a fun factor as well. It's not only about discussion, but let's compete a little bit, you know. So the games are, we usually, for instance, have 5 questions, and those should be like done in 3 minutes. Our games are 20 minutes. Because after each question, everybody says, no, this is the wrong answer. I don't think like this. And then you have someone else saying, no, that's right. I wrote it. It's good. It's good. And then it goes and on and on. But most important thing is that we create friendships, although it's hard, and although it takes time, and although it's like inconvenient for us humans, you know, to make friends online. This is what we do now.
Yeah, I was wondering, how has your work and your life changed since, you know, COVID-19? I especially like to hear from our international guests about what it's like where you are and how things are going.
First of all, I'm not reading any news. So most of the time I'm surprised when they don't let me in a supermarket. I'm like, why? You don't have a mask? Oh, okay. It's the time for a mask now. Everybody's like, how come you don't know? Everybody knows about it. So, and I'm always saying, I don't have a TV in my house. I have no idea. And in my Facebook and LinkedIn, whatever, I just remove all the political and all the news because I just cannot handle it. It's too much of a burden and it just takes my valuable time from resting, or perhaps it brings some type of unrest inside of me. It doesn't allow me. So I've stopped following all of this. What I've noticed today, for instance, is that people have different opinion about it because first some of the people say like, yeah, this is important, you have to wear a mask, but then the other person says, why am I supposed to wear the mask when no one else is wearing? So that makes no sense. So people are totally divided, and I try not to enter these discussions because it's an endless discussion, okay, for pro and con. In Croatia at the moment, it's fine. You don't have to have like masks in open restaurants. I mean, we're all now in beach clubs and they're all open, right? So, but the only weird stuff is that waiters are supposed to wear a mask and hundreds of other people are not supposed to wear the mask. So now everybody's like putting a question like, who came up with this and why these people need to suffer? So now everybody's like asking these poor waiters, are you sad that you have to wear it? And I'm sure this guy wants to just explode the same moment. But for instance, in Serbia, they want to enforce a lockdown and people don't want to go into lockdown because 3 months ago, they were told that virus cannot exist at 35. Now it's 35. Why you want to close me? Why did you lie to me before? So it's like a mess of information. So for this reason, I'm just calling my dad and saying, okay, what's new now? What am I supposed to change in my behavior? Tell me and let me do that so I don't end up with some penalty or whatever in the street.
I feel like that's a very healthy way of doing it, because I mean, one thing is, like I see, because we're living through basically a science experiment, because the scientific process is unfolding in front of us. And we're used to studying things that have gone through that, and, that we have the answers to already, or at least have a good head start on things. So yeah, like it's kind of exhausting. We have this same kind of discussion here, and but whatever the science is, like, well, they're gonna have to test it, so it's gonna change, and then they're gonna find something else, and then this. So I like your idea of, okay, now what's today? What do I need to know? Okay, great, done.
That's it. That's it. I don't want to just overburden myself. And by the way, I mean, what I think it's very wrong that nobody's actually telling people to do preventive health, which means take a lot of vitamins, work on your body, don't sit at home, don't eat sweets, do a little bit of exercise. So your body can actually fight whatever disease. So even if you get it, so you can actually, you'll have a better chance to survive it. So what I'm trying to do with all my friends, I mean, being in quantum medical science and understanding the body from a cell level, and Nikola Tesla's technology that's being built inside and stuff. So I'm like full of positive energy when it comes to like, okay, Corona is problem, everything's problem. I mean, even radiation worldwide is problem, and children are dying worldwide and everything. But let's start sorting things one by one. So first of all, as they say in the airplane, when you want to help someone, first help yourself, then start spreading this. So I'm like taking a lot of vitamins, taking a lot of fresh food, working out, trying to help other people as well to understand that nobody can help you unless you start helping yourself first, and then let's see how it will happen. I mean I've gone through many things in my life, so I mean, something like this wouldn't surprise me. So I'm ready, okay? Something happens, I'm working on it. Let's see how it works.
Well, it's been great, Maja, having you on the show today. Before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find you online?
Sure. I'm on Twitter. I mean, my Twitter handle is MAJA20072230. So I'm open, my DM is open. Please join me at any time. I would be very happy to meet with more people. I put stuff on the Twitter which are mostly related either to humanity or WordPress. And my main interest is actually to do good. If you have any idea that we can come across together, work together internationally, that we can help people, communities, a person, whatever, I'm open for any discussion. Also, if you would like, join our meetups as well. So you'll find me there every Monday, 7 o'clock CST time. And let's have fun, That's the most important part.
I love it.
Love it.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, or join our Facebook group. We would be honored if you subscribe to the show. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. Finally, if you want to be on the show or know someone who would, visit our website at womeninwp.com. Until next time.